Hi, I'm Annie. Contact information is in the description. So I want to talk about SF sleep and how I experience it. I'm not sure if it will be the same for everyone. So this is for my viewers who are in the objective personality community. You'll know what I'm talking about when I say SF sleep. So here's my type. So it's SI-FI sleep, double masculine. Well, let me start this story by saying that I'm doing an experiment this quarter. I've read this book, Essentialism, like 4 times now by Greg McGowan. I've read a whole bunch of his other books, and I highly recommend his writings for understanding how to OI. Like if you are lead consume, like I am, sometimes you have too many projects going and your attention is too diffused over multiple projects at a given time. It could be helpful to learn how to OI. Greg McGowan talks a lot about having one priority. The word priority means one. In our modern day lives, we talk about multiple priorities. For this first quarter of 2023, I'm forcing myself to pick 3 things, partially because the PDF that I got for my journaling every day, I do my journaling with a pen on my iPad, but I do put in a PDF that's like an agenda planner thing to plan out my day. For each day, it has a space for you to list your priorities, and it's just 1, 2, 3. And when I first started doing this, it really freaked me out, and it was actually uncomfortable to just pick 3. But I've gotten better and better at it. I have not been successful at just picking one major project ever. I mean, I've got a handmade store, I'm a massage therapist, and I also have a coaching business, and I also like to sew my own clothes. So that's like a lot of things that I'm balancing and juggling. My energy does get diffused over multiple activities, and what that means is that I'm less effective because I'm not focusing on one thing at a time. But after reading these Greg McGowan books, I thought, well, I could do a quarter. I could try to do a 90-day period of just focusing on one thing. For this first quarter, I have coaches in a group coaching program, and I'm learning how to build a course. So I'm building a course on self-discipline, which if you've followed me for any amount of time, you know that I totally geek out on self-discipline. It also turns out that most of the coaching clients who have ever come to me have had issues with self-discipline. They're wanting to build habits to achieve a goal. So it makes sense. I'm building a course on self-discipline. I'm learning a lot of new skills that are really pushing me out of my comfort zone, finding authentic ways to market, just the technical aspects of building a course. And then once you build a course, how do you market it? How do you build a course in a way that's very organized and blasty, you know, beginning, middle, and end? So I'm doing all that stuff. I'm really pushing myself to make this my main thing. So I'm working on this project and I'm taking care of my exercise and my basic habit. But I've pulled back from the Etsy store and I made a rule that I will not work with ceramics, make ceramic jewelry at all for the first 90 days of the year. So until very, very recently, I have not touched clay. I'm not doing any crafts. I'm not doing any sewing. I'm just focusing on building this course. And I gotta tell you, I'm not sure it's a good idea. So I understand it in theory. Here's where we get to the SF sleep part. When I'm working with the jewelry, this somehow facilitates this SI-FI sleep. It's when I'm relaxed and concentrating on the clay and I'm sort of in a state of flow. That's when I am integrating and assimilating all the new information that I've been absorbing. So right now I'm absorbing a lot of new information, learning a lot of new skills, but I've not been allowing myself to work with clay. And I'm just not integrating all the new learning as well as I think I normally would, because I'm not doing this relaxing activity of making jewelry. Another thing that I noticed is that I'm just less creative in general. Last week, I allowed myself some time to do this just a little bit. I was even multitasking, like listening to audiobooks that were related to research that I need to do in order to build this course and making the jewelry at the same time. And it kind of stimulated my creativity. And it wasn't creativity related to the jewelry making. It wasn't, I'm working with the clay and I'm thinking like, oh, I have this idea for, you know, how to make earrings this way or that way. It wasn't even related to that. It was like giving me ideas for video topics that I want to work on, or giving me creative ideas for the course that I'm building. So it's somehow this tinkering with my hands is generating creativity and helping me to process and assimilate everything that I'm learning. And I think that it could have a little bit to do with my modality too, being MF. You know, this is audio kinesthetic, and there is something about kinesthetic learning. And noticed that also when I listened to the book Limitless recently. That's a really great book. So the guy was talking about how to memorize things and his process. When he's reading a book and learning and he wants to remember a concept or a word or something, then he would create a picture. Like, say, the word uncanny. How do you remember the word uncanny? And he would say, well, like, picture a tin can and then crush it. Then it's uncanned or something like that. Like, he's creating an image. I don't do that at all. I remember words in my muscle memory. It's a kinesthetic thing. It's like the rhythm and the feel of the word in my mouth. And I remember words really well. And I remember words that I don't use very often. And sometimes I think, where did that come from? Like, why do I know the definition of that word? It's just in there somewhere. And when it comes out, it's very kinesthetic. It's very much a bodily memory of the word. There are no images involved. So anyway, last week I allowed myself to work with clay a little bit. This week it's my birthday. I'm 46. I'm going to allow myself more time to work with clay this week just to see what happens, because I don't know that it's a good idea to not allow myself to do that. Because if I'm focused only on this course building and this coaching course that I'm doing, sometimes I will hit a wall and I'm just sitting there feeling blocked and feeling stuck. And I'm sitting there staring at my computer screen. Like, what good is that? Like, that's not getting me anywhere. So why not get up for an hour, allow myself to work with this clay and get my creativity moving again, process and integrate some of the stuff that I've learned so that I can recalibrate and then come back out with some more outputs, some more blast. So that was an interesting experiment for me, and I did not make it the full 90 days, but I gave it a good shot, and maybe I learned a valuable lesson that I need to allow myself to tinker and craft with my hands because it's actually good for me. But moving forward, I am doing it in a really disciplined way because I have to finish this course, I have to build a course, I have to market a course, and that does take a lot of focus and attention. So I'm allowing myself to work with clay and make things, but I'm not doing product photography and I'm not listing items on Etsy, because if I start to do that, then it'll take so much focus away from the course that I'm building and I'll just go down another rabbit hole. I might even accidentally open up a new Etsy shop because typical ENFP, I just tend to fall into things. Wasn't even on my mind today, and then tomorrow I accidentally start a new website or open a new Etsy store. This happens to me all the time, and it really dilutes my focus and my energy and harms my success. I'm not as successful because I'm doing too many fucking things. So anyway, that is my story about SF sleep. I hope y'all are having a great week. Talk to you soon.